going on? Welcome to another video content from Aspie with Attitude. Just in case if you're watching this for the first time, my name is David. I am from Melbourne, Australia. I have autism, I have speech difficulty, a speech impairment, and a speech impairment, and I have Asperger's syndrome, and that's why I call myself an Aspie. And now, before I start things up for this video content, if you're watching this for the first time, what I'll be doing for this video content is I'll be going through an autistic life hack, since I am the autistic individual, and you'll be learning about autism from the voice of a person who is actually autistic, and that's how you learn to understand what autism is all about. And also, I make a stand for autistic rights and autism acceptance, and light up red like the tracksuit that I'm wearing for this video upload. And what's going down for this video upload is I'll be discussing autistic burnouts and how this would be an autistic meltdown trigger. Autistic burnouts can be described as an act of stress affecting an individual who is autistic. Going back to a handful of previous video uploads, which I'll be displaying throughout this video content, I'm talking about displaying the thumbnails. To start off with, when I did talk about meltdowns back in episode 136 as an example. So like I have explained the first stage out of the 3 stages of a meltdown, which is the panic mode. And if you still don't understand, the other 2 stages is stage 2, the rage mode, and stage 3, the recovery mode. And since I'll focus on the first stage, which is the panic mode, usually if an autistic individual holds themselves on the first stage of an autistic meltdown, the individual will be bottling up the panic situation. So like, it's almost like an overload, just feels like when your brain's actually on fire and you feel like you've got smoke coming out of your ears. That's what it feels like to have an autistic burnout. A few things to name for the cause of autistic burnouts is being in an overwhelming situation, like overwork, and the main cause is really stress. The relationship between overwork and stress could be that you work above your own limits and feeling drained out and not being able to self-regulate or being able to recharge or shut down. Without being able to recharge or self-regulate, you are pushed beyond your own limits and your own boundaries, and not necessarily about work. This could also reflect on sensory challenges. And just for those who do not know what I mean by sensory challenges, I had to explain this back in episode 170. And what also I would mean by sensory challenges is if you're oversensitive to light and there's too much light, that's what sensory challenges are. So like you're trying to sort of dredge yourself into bright lights when your brain's wired up to being more in the darker spots rather than being the bright spots. And maybe another example is you might have auditory stimuli, like you might be trying to stay put in a noisy environment where you prefer to be in a quiet environment. So this was all explained back in episode 170. I am describing what it feels to be pushed above your own limits in such an overwhelming situation, and at the same time try not to fall into the second stage of an autistic meltdown, which I explained earlier as the rage mode. It's when you sort of like get overwhelmed and really have your meltdown. That's what a rage mode is. And you're going to keep yourself in the first stage, which is the panic mode, and you're like holding yourself just in the first stage of a meltdown, and you're unable to self-regulate or even recharge. So like, just in case if you didn't know, I did in the start of 2020 explained self-regulation for episode 96. Autistic burnouts is when you're holding back on the stress as an autistic individual. Sometimes being in such an overwhelming situation can be difficult and very challenging, especially trying to find the time and space to be able to shut down, recharge, and really cool off and really chill out. And there could be negative images painted once it comes down to describing what autistic burnouts are, and there are millions of ways to explain frustration. And that is why I like to show you that I had spoken about frustration back in episode 128, back on the 7th of August 2020. And I am going to leave a thumbnail at the end, especially if you're a very big fan of seeing the special effects after I do the fidget spin nose trick at the end. And frustration is one of the key causes of autistic burnouts. Sometimes it can be difficult to shut down from feeling altogether frustrated. At the time I had been filming this video content that you're watching right now, I had been quite chilled out, and that's the way I want to feel now and tomorrow. And it's never always like that. It was even back in episode 192, I did explain my autistic burnout when I couldn't get to my plum trees in early spring on August 2021 to film the pink and white flowers on the plum trees. I was at the time then able to shut down, switch off in the middle of August. Then I was able to recharge, and it was on the 19th of August 2021, and I had expressed how I felt going through this autistic burnout, and that's why the last time I recall going through one at the time this video upload that you are watching right now, episode 203. I like to sum everything up. An autistic burnout is when your brain's like on fire and you got smoke pouring out of your ears, and you're just trying to hold back on your meltdowns without being in the situation to be able to cool off. Since this is caused by feeling frustrated, any forms of sensory overload, working yourself above your own limits, unable to focus or concentrate on what you're doing, and even when you're feeling angry is one of the prime examples of what an autistic burnout is. I will even leave the links down in the description down below for all the video thumbnails that had featured throughout this video content from Aspie with Attitude, which happens to be episode 25, Autism and Meltdowns, episode 96, Self-Regulation, episode 128, Autism and Frustrations, episode 136, Say No to Autistic Meltdown Videos, episode 170, Sensory Challenges, and episode 192, Managing Autistic Meltdowns. Probably I'm going to leave a 4 out of 6 thumbnails at the end of this video content if you like watching the special effects that I do straight after the fidget spin nose trick. And I'll tell you something for episode 203. You know, the special effects after the fidget spin nose trick is going to be heaps different from the start of this video content that you've been watching from Aspie with Attitude. Like, I've really put in a lot of hard work for this artwork. So, let's get on with it then. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, Aspie with Attitude. And also, please ring this notification bell if you want to keep up to date with my future video uploads. And also, please don't forget to like and share this video content with your friends, with your family, and with your autistic community. And also, I'd like to hear from you in the comments down below to let me know what you think of the videos that I make. And also, this was another autistic life hack video from Aspie with Attitude that you had been watching. And here's a fidget spin nose trick that I told you about that I'll do at the end, and this is how it's done. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening to Aspie with Attitude, peace and respect, and see you next time.